What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the 10-7 MMA. I'm DS. He's Dino Bam Bam.
Hi, I'm Dino Bam Bam.
What's good, brother?
Just chilling, brother. How are you?
I'm doing just dandy. We are coming off this current week's card where we did really well. Where do we go?
Like 10 and 3, 11 and 3, something like that.
Yeah. And of course, now we would like to break down UFC 292. We know we've got a huge main event in store. Sterling versus O'Malley. We've got some other fights on. It's kind of a shorter fight card.
2 title fights.
2 title fights on there, too. Obviously, my girl, Weili, is fighting Amanda Lemos. Anything you want to say before we jump right into this card, my friend?
No, I'm just super duper excited about this card. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content lately. If you have, do us a huge favor. Click that little subscribe button, the little thumbs up. That's going to notify you when our videos drop. Actually, that's the bell. That's what's going to notify you when our videos drop.
Yep.
You can also follow us on Instagram at the107MMA, same way as it's spelled up here or down here, depending on what the hell you're watching this on. And yeah, I'm excited about this UFC 292 card.
Yeah, we're playing around a little bit with the camera angle.
Yeah.
This time, we went back. Dino showed me some of our earlier videos where we had the camera a little bit closer and thought maybe it's better. Let us know how you feel about it. In any case, let's jump right into the card.
Let's do it.
And I know actually there's supposed to be one more fight on this card too, that is not listed.
Potentially 2, right? Because there's the Ultimate Fight, the second Ultimate Fighter.
That's what I was
fight.
thinking. What else?
And then the Cody Garbrandt pulled out, so we don't know what's going to happen there on short notice, but we'll see.
He was supposed to be fighting Mario Bautista.
Yeah.
Do you think he would have won that?
I'm going to reserve that for later if it happens.
All right, fair. Let's jump into the fights that are on the card. And the first fight of the night is the tournament championship for the Ultimate Fighter. It's at lightweight, and it's Kurt Holobaugh versus Austin Hubbard. Yeah. What do you think about this one?
All right, the tough finale. Let's start with Kurt Holobaugh. He was 0-6 in the UFC, so that's pretty interesting. Like, having a guy fight 6 times and not win in the UFC, it's interesting that he'd be there for 6 fights.
I was just going to say, it's interesting that he got that many opportunities. 6 is a lot, man.
Well, he technically had
3,
1 win.
You could have 3, like, bad fights.
Yeah.
4 to 6 is like, man.
Right. So technically he had 1 that was overturned. So I guess he was using the IV. That's what the...
Okay.
Yeah, anyways. He's a high-pressure striker, good power, decent combos. That's all he really wants to do is just kind of stack those combos. Like, just come forward, hit you with that, come back out, reset, hit you again with that shit. So
absolutely.
That's what he's about. His fight with Jason Knight this last week on The Ultimate Fighter was phenomenal. 2 vicious rounds, or a round and a half, or whatever it ended up being. He just really put a high pace on him, and it was a badass fight. He's fighting Austin Hubbard. More recently, Austin Hubbard was in the UFC. He was 3-4 in the UFC. He was my pick to win the show when the rosters were announced. It was either going to be him or Roosevelt Roberts.
That's what I thought, Roosevelt, yeah.
So Austin Hubbard, he's not like special in any ways, Austin Hubbard. He's just kind of well-rounded. He's decent at everything. That's the way I see him. These last few seasons of Tough, we have to mention this because this is a Tough finale episode. I've said it a bunch of times, but I have not been impressed with the talent on Tough. Obviously, these are former UFC fighters, right? So there's a certain level of skill you have have been in the UFC. So these guys are solid, but just nothing special. And I wish the show would kind of get back to its peak level where high-level talent was coming out. But it looks like everyone's doing the Contender Series route.
I was just going to say that. That's the way better route at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, going to Ultimate Fighter is more like a charade at this point than it is, actual talent. And so, yeah, if you're a serious fighter looking to make, back to the UFC, make it to the UFC, I guess they don't really have veterans on
it's not a thing.
On the Contender Series, though.
Right. Nor do they generally don't on the Ultimate Fighter either.
Yeah, which they shouldn't do that anymore anyways.
Yeah.
So...
Anyways, I'm sticking with my guns. I'm going with Austin Hubbard. I know Kurt Holobaugh is a tough fighter. His losses in the UFC came to pretty high-level competition. I just think the age discrepancy at this point, it has to be something. He's going to be, I believe, 37 in like a month.
Yep.
Austin Hubbard's 31. He was more recently in the UFC. I'm going Hubbard by close decision. You can't be surprised if the fight goes the other way, though.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Hubbard, to me, I guess the biggest difference to me is going to be that Hubbard is the more well-rounded fighter.
Right.
He's going to have the grappling advantage for sure. He's younger. In my opinion, he's got more momentum on his side at this point, too. He's overall more well-rounded. I see him winning a decision as well. In a close fight, 29-28.
Second fight, we'll see. We'll let you guys know on Instagram when the second fight's announced. what we think of that one.
Good idea. Let's do that. Moving on to the second fight of the night, it's Marina Moroz.
Where's she from, Dino?
She is from Ukraine.
There we go.
What's that?
Remember we were talking about something before the show.
Sure, yeah. Now it seems like we're just like doing some sketchy shit.
It's not that sketchy.
Anyways, it's Marina Moroz versus Corinne Silva. So we got our first women's fight of the night. And this one's interesting. Marina Moroz, I mean, she's got good boxing. Crisp hands, good movement on her feet.
You say crisp pants?
Crisp hands.
They're very...
I know. She's got great movement. You just watch her, and you can tell she's somebody who's been a fighter for a long time.
Yeah.
Her movement is instinctual to me, right? It really bothers me every time that she strikes, she kias, too.
Yeah.
So she's like,
I hate that, dude.
That's just like...
Someone had that on this card. I think it was Tafon and Chukwi, and it was like... At the apex, it's brutal, dude.
Yeah, it's too much.
Brutal.
It's too much. It sounds like tennis then. But, yeah, she's a decent fighter, but for me... Corinne Silva. Oh, and actually, I have that written down too. Nothing like listening to a Marina Moroz fight in the Apex. Yeah. But yeah, she's fine. Corinne Silva to me is a killer, though, man. I mean, look at how she just snapped Souza's knee last fight. She's a beast. She's a finisher. Moroz is a tough lady, but I am supremely confident in Silva winning this. I don't know that she'll get the finish. I think she will. But either way it goes, I see Corinne Silva winning it. And as far as women's fights go, this is about as confident as I get in them.
I'm confident as well. Same thing, Silva. I thought it was Carini Silva, but who knows with the Brazilian names?
I don't know, man. They always switch it up on me.
Right.
I've heard Carini Silva too, so...
Yeah, I just think she's 29 years old. She's in her prime, or if she's not in her prime, she's damn near close to being in her prime. She's on a huge win streak. We've seen her win in the Contender Series. We've seen her win multiple fights in the UFC now. She looks like a real prospect. I think she's going to get this fight to the ground. I think she's going to get the position that she wants. Then I think she will find a sub or TKO. I think the finish will come. I'm leaning towards sub. I'm thinking first round, actually, armbar, which is actually Marina Moroz's little special move, right?
Yeah, that's like her
move.
go-to on the ground.
Yeah, so I'm going Carini Silva by armbar.
Lovely. Yeah, we agree on that one. I mean, what are the odds on that one, too, by the way?
Let's see.
Give those to me real quick.
Yes, you got it. Minus 175 for Silva, plus 150 on the other side.
I think there's value in that.
I agree.
And especially by finish, I think there's value in that for sure. Moving on to the third fight of the night. It's Andrea Lee versus another Silva. This time it's Natalia Silva. What do you make of this fight, my friend?
Yeah, Andrea KGB Lee. Weird nickname. We've mentioned that before. Her
Yeah.
Tapology picture, do you see that?
Yeah.
It's just like her in like a sickle and hammer bra or something.
Yeah.
I don't
What
know.
is that about?
I don't know, dude. But anyway, she's...
What is that about?
Why don't you ask her?
Like, why can't I don't understand that. And also, it looks very
And then
bizarre.
she's like a cowboy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like an all-American girl. She comes out with the cowboy hat.
It also, that's a wild
Fit.
fit, and
Yeah.
then shredded body, and
Yeah.
then the blonde pigtails with like a normal face.
Yeah, who knows?
It's just a wild look, but good for her.
Andrea Lee, very good striker. She's really tough as well. She's much improved in the grappling. We've seen that as of late. We saw it against Macy Barber last time out. She took her down a bunch of times. I think she beat Macy Barber in that fight.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I know it's a little iffy and it was a close
It's crazy
fight.
because we went from that to like Macy Barber just wrecking Amanda Lemos, which makes
Weird.
no sense.
I mean, sometimes the math don't be mathin'. We say that all the time. So who knows? She's known for her striking, but like I said, the grappling is improved. And if she were 30 as opposed to 34, I would really be thinking there's like a future for Andrea Lee in this division. However, she is 34. So like how much are you going to keep improving at 34, 35? How serious are you taking it at this age being where she is? Basically like an unranked fighter. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Anyway, she's taking on Natalia Silva. She's well-rounded. She fights pretty wild, throws a lot of spinning shit. Good grappling, good wrestling. The trips are good. She likes to make fights very dirty and scrappy, and that's kind of where she excels. She has back-to-back wins by knockout. And before that, she beat Jasmine Jasdavicius. And Jasmine Jasdavicius was not able to take her down, Dino.
Yep.
That's very impressive, because right now, Jasmine Jasdavicius' stock, Jasdavicius's stock, is through the roof. She's a beast wrestler, and Silva was able to hold her own in that regard. I think Silva wins this fight. She has more ways to win. I don't think the new and improved grappling of Andrea Lee is enough. Because, like I said, if Jasmine was able to take not able to take Silva down and hold her there, I don't think Andrea Lee can. I think Silva by decision makes sense to me here. Lee's tough, probably hard to finish. Silva by decision.
Yeah, I like it. Again, we agree. Natalia Silva, by the way, she looks easy to draw.
I haven't noticed.
Like,
yeah, there's not too much going on.
It's just like
Use like one crayon.
yeah. Silva's the younger fighter, 26 years old. She's got great balance, super strong legs, like just some thick-ass legs. Won all 3 of her UFC fights so far. I think she's best on her feet, but she does have a bunch of wins by armbar.
Yeah.
Really nice snap on her punches, good speed. Her last loss was to Marina Rodrigues. So, I mean, Marina didn't look amazing versus Lemos, but
Lemos is fighting for a title.
She's fighting for a title, and, before that, she looked really damn good. So, like you said, Andrea Lee, super tough veteran. She's got pretty good wrestling now, and she's got good striking. So, and she's willing to throw. So, she's not going to be somebody that's going to sit back and, just kind of run around the ring. And, she's actually going to try to win this fight. She's going to give it her all. For me, Silva's much better on the feet, and I also don't think that Lee wants to get armbarred, so I actually do see a finish. I think Lee's gonna get rocked. Silva's gonna hit her with a spinning something, put her on skates. She's gonna end up getting her on the ground, and she's gonna armbar her.
Let's get it. About it. Also, throwing this out there again for like the 5th episode in a row. It is hot as dog shit in here.
It is so hot in here.
And also, so like, don't mind. I'm gonna be touching my face a lot, like wiping this moisture off.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying not. If I start, I'm not gonna stop. So.
Right. So there's that. Also, for what it's worth, we agreed on the first fight of the night.
We
Going
did.
back to that.
Right.
Yeah.
We sure did.
Have we disagreed yet? No,
I don't think so.
You usually ask me that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We have not.
Okay.
I just like to. Oh, for what it's worth, if somebody goes back and they're like, no, Dino had one extra wrong, I did end up changing my pick last week.
He did. He texted me about it. I can vouch.
It was a women's fight. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. So I doubt anybody's going to be sitting and fact-checking me. Anyway, moving on to the 4th fight of the night. We've got, in the 185 division, we've got Gerald Meerschaert versus Andre Petroski. And this is an interesting matchup, man. I guess I'll go first on this one.
Yeah.
It's a good step up in competition for Petroski. He is absolutely jacked.
Yeah.
Dude is just, absolutely jacked. He's taking on GM3, who is a wily veteran, and I think a great measuring stick at 185. If you can get past GM3, there's a good chance you're at least probably top 20, I would say, at 185. Would you agree with that?
If you beat GM3?
If you beat GM3, I think you have at least top 20 potential. There. You're there somewhere.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be interesting to see. Andre Petroski, he had a really tough fight with Wellington Thurman recently. That was a battle. And he did seem to gas out as the fight went on. I mean, again, we've talked about this before. Somebody who's as jacked as he is, that's a lot of muscle to be moving around. So, whereas Meerschaert almost always at 185 has the grappling advantage, I don't think that's the case here. Yeah. I think Petroski actually is stronger. I think he does have the grappling advantage. For me, really the main potential key to victory for Meerschaert would be to extend the fight, right? If it goes to decision, I might actually be leaning towards Meerschaert at this point.
Interesting.
But I don't think it will. I do think that Petroski's going to be able to get the finish here. Obviously Meerschaert, sometimes when I think about him, I just think he got knocked out violently by Hamza with that straight. But he's a really good fighter.
And last time out, too, to be fair, by Joe Body Biggs.
And that's right, exactly. So we've seen him knocked out. Petroski got a lot of power. He's certainly not the most technical on the feet. But, he's improving. I wish he was a little bit younger. I think he's 31 years old.
I wish I was younger, too, brother.
I mean, me too, but for the sake of this, he's 31, 32 years old? 32 years old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, man, I wish he was a little bit younger, because I think I do like his skill set. At 185, when you're that good of a grappler, when you have that good of jiu-jitsu, and you're strong as hell, I think, there's just not many that have that skill set or the ability to defend it. So,
yeah.
But, yeah, I'm going to go Petroski by finish. I'll go by sub.
Okay. To me, this is simple. We know it's grappler versus grappler. Petroski has the wrestling and power advantage. GM3, as you mentioned, probably the jiu-jitsu advantage, and experience for sure.
I just want to say, too, Meerschaert is so slow on the feet.
Yeah.
He's got, super slow punches and kicks.
But the thing with it is, he's what, 50-something fights into his MMA career now
Right.
as a professional. He's fought every kind of fighter there is. He's fought like your hype trains. He's fought your pure strikers, your pure grapplers, your well-rounded guys. So while, yes, he does look sometimes very slow on the feet, oftentimes he wins fights against those guys.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyways, I think the clear pick is Andre Petroski, right? Especially after GM3 just got knocked out by Joe Bodybags. But GM3 is scary to me. Petroski is exactly the kind of guy
100%.
that Gerald Meerschaert beats and like stops their hype train.
100%.
That's what he's known for, right?
And I absolutely could see that happening. This is one of my lowest, let's say one of my 2 lowest confidence picks on the card.
Okay, fair. I'm going Petroski. Late first, early second, I'm probably going to go with ground and pound, like TKO, a takedown, ground and pound, gets the TKO that way. I think this fight ends up on the ground. That's pretty damn safe to say.
Yeah.
I think Andre Petroski is good enough to survive against Andre Petroski.
Yeah. Do you see a chance where it's 2 good grapplers, it's a striking match?
Yeah, I mean, that's a potential, right? Yeah. And at that point, I'm taking the younger, stronger, more powerful, jacked guy.
Potentially even faster.
Right. So,
not that he's fast, but...
Right. Like I said, I think what's going to happen is he's going to get the takedown, and then the ground and pound's going to start coming. Petroski.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get the takedown. The ground and pound will start coming, and then after a couple shots, I could just see GM3 kind of like turning, covering, and then them stopping the fight.
I will also say there's been times where I feel like Andre Petroski maybe doesn't have the highest fight IQ, where, like you said, Gerald Meerschaert has had 50-something fights.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a lot of fight IQ.
Well, we saw in the Wellington Turman fight, right?
Right.
Like he was a little too accepting of like having a stand-up fight against Wellington Turman.
100%.
And then as soon as
he was throwing the kitchen sink at him initially,
right,
and everything was wound up from the hip.
And then when it didn't work out for him, he's like, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to the grappling, and it works out for him. So,
but at that point, is he going to be too tired, against somebody as skilled as Gerald Meerschaert on the ground? So it's a tough pick.
You tell me.
I'm still going with Petroski, but.
And I know he has some kind of Chicago connection. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know there's a Chicago connection with him.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the... Oh, it says 6th fight. It's actually the 5th fight of the night. It's G-Rod, Gregory, RoboCop Rodrigues. Again, another fight at 185. He's taking on Denis Tiuliulin. Yeah, I mean, to me, this is a bit of a mismatch. I know that Denis Tiuliulin has good boxing, and he's pretty decently technical as a boxer, but I don't even know that he has an advantage on
anywhere
on the feet, or like even in the boxing, even purely in the boxing. I don't know that he has an advantage. So Gregory Rodrigues has put out a bunch of people. He has been rocked himself, so his chin is actually a little bit suspect. So
I wanted to say that too.
Yeah,
I feel like it's been mentioned before. But, like, he's been last time he was knocked out. Before that, it's been years.
Yeah.
So, like, we haven't seen him knocked out, but we have seen him rocked a couple times.
He gets wobbly, every couple fights.
Does that mean, though, that your chin sucks? Or it's like, he's got a good chin, like, he doesn't go out? I don't know, but it's something I want to mention.
I do think that no, I think... Well, I think you can say 2 things can be true. His chin is not great because of that, but also it's a testament to his ability to recover.
Yeah, fair.
So... But, anyway... If it goes anywhere near the ground, and I think there's a good possibility that it does, RoboCop is an 8-time national jiu-jitsu champ from Brazil. So he's going to absolutely demolish him on the ground. So this is one of the more straightforward fights of the night. And, of course, Denis Tiuliulin's probably going to knock him out with like a 1-2 now. But I'm going G-Rod. I think it's going to be ground and pound, honestly. Ground and pound in the first round.
Yeah.
But I could absolutely see a sub. I do think he finishes him on the ground, though.
Fair. Brazil Obama, right? Gregory RoboCop Rodrigues.
He does look like him.
I'm everything you said. I'm going
My
with
fellow Americans.
Yeah, I'm going with
Fight your pass.
I'm going with Rodrigues. I'm also thinking by sub on the feet. Think they're pretty even. I still give the advantage to RoboCop. On the ground, as you said, it's not close. I wish RoboCop would utilize that more in his fights. I'd be so much more confident if it was a thing that he did sometimes.
Yeah. The one thing that scares me is RoboCop will literally stand squared up with you and just throw bombs. So It's absolutely possible that at one of those exchanges, Tiuliulin catches him.
Tiuliulin's good, man.
He's not bad. Like,
yeah.
We haven't seen too much of him on the ground. We know he has a disadvantage there. Yeah. But
the biggest hole in his game is his ground game.
Right.
Right? It's clear. It's obvious. We've seen him subbed. When he loses, he gets subbed.
But like you said, RoboCop doesn't always... He never really wants to go to the ground. He wants to stand and bang. So it's absolutely very possible. I mean, he did get KO'd by Bruno Ferreira last time.
Yeah.
So
his last 3 fights, though, for Denis Tiuliulin, his last 3 losses against Junyong Park, Kizraev, and Aliskerov.
Yeah.
Like, decent comp.
Yeah.
But Kimura, RNC.
Yep.
He looks lost when he gets to the ground. So I
completely
just think
lost.
If that's what... And his cardio kind of sucks.
You're right. It's going to be a sub. It'll be a sub in the first round when they're dry. Yeah.
I'm thinking round 2, but I feel you.
I mean, I don't even think he makes it that far. But
let's get it.
Moving on to the next fight, and this one is...
So interesting. Like, beyond interesting.
Oh, man. It is. It's Chris Weidman making his return after just a little over 2 years, I want to say.
Yeah.
After he brutally snapped his leg, wrapped it around, what's his name?
Uriah Hall.
Uriah Hall's knee. Dude, that was, to me, maybe the worst one.
I mean,
the worst looking one.
It's eerily similar to him and Anderson Silva.
Right, but his foot straight up swings around, my guy. So
I really hated that day.
Yeah.
And that was Masvidal got knocked out by Usman that day. It was the Jacksonville card. Yeah. Just a couple things to throw out there. You've mentioned this before. I had a weird feeling about that day.
I was just going to say it's been a minute. Yeah. You did message me that day like, hey, I got a weird feeling, man. And I hate when you do that.
Sketchy shit.
Because then I'm like, fuck, like, all right, some sketchy shit's happening. And then I'm looking for it. And then I'm putting that energy out there. But I was going to say, it's been a hot minute since you hit me up with one of those.
I was sketched out. But I'll tell you this. I learned something. Those Florida cards are fucking weird. Maybe it's because Florida's like... Florida man does this shit.
True, yeah.
Dude, Florida cards, some weird shit always goes down. Like, Rose knocked out Weili that day with that head kick.
Dude, that's crazy. Holy shit.
The fight before Weidman and Uriah Hall. I hated that.
I now remember that vividly. Yeah.
And the fight before Uriah Hall and Chris Weidman was Anthony Lionheart-Smith versus Jimmy Crute, who got dead leg.
Yeah.
So, anyways, weird-ass card. I'll tell you this. The day of the injury, I remember saying that when Chris, like, that night, for some reason, one of the first thoughts, not like the first thought, because I was really tripping for a while, as were probably all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember thinking, like, yo, Chris Weidman's going to return one day, and that walkout is going to be unreal. So when Tom Petty fucking starts hitting on those speakers, won't back down, it's going to be unreal. I just think that's going to be a crazy moment. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be, like, scary. And I'm going into this worried for Chris Weidman. I don't think you can't not be worried for him, right?
He's 39 years old.
He's 39.
He's almost 40 years old. Good on him for not wanting to go out like that.
Yeah.
And he's going to go out on his own sword and on his own terms. And, I mean, he's a true fighter.
Yeah.
But I'm nervous for him. I literally have that written down. I'm a little nervous for him. So
I mean, you can't not be, Dino. Like, that first leg kick, if it's...
And your bones healing when you're in your 20s or in your early 30s, a lot different than when you're damn near 40. You were 37 when it happened.
100%.
So
I'll put it to you this way. Everything in me wants to pick Chris Weidman.
I do too. I do too. And certainly, if it was a Chris Weidman that we know, who was maybe pound for pound the best wrestler
in MMA.
Yeah. In his prime, could somebody like that beat Brad Tavares? Absolutely.
Not could, would.
Would beat Brad Tavares. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Brad Tavares he's going to want to stand and bang. He's a good fighter. He's a really good fighter. He's taken on some of the top fighters in the world, too. Chris Weidman is a former champion, right? And the people that he's beat, I mean, come on. But it's 2023. Chris Weidman is almost 40 years old. So,
look, I'm saying everything in me wants to pick Chris Weidman. But like you said, he's older.
And I will.
No, he's 4 years older. He's been off for 2 years. We had the leg injury, which was disgusting. So that plays against picking him, right? However, he's literally better, Dino, in every aspect of this sport than Brad Tavares. Every single aspect. He's the better striker, like technically.
I don't know.
He's by far the better grappler.
I don't know if he's the better striker technically.
I think technically
Sure.
To me. But
I'll
anyways,
give it to you. I'll give it to you.
the wrestling's way better. It's not even close.
It's not even close.
He might not be as experienced in terms of numbers of fights, but he's fought just as good and better competition probably than Brad Tavares.
Yeah, and he's won.
And he's beat those guys as opposed to losing to all of the top guys, right? My biggest issue is that let's take all the shit out over the last 2 years. Let's take away the injury. Let's take away the 2 years off. Chris Weidman is 2-6 in his last 8. If we disregard the Uriah Hall fight, that's 2-5.
He would have been 2-7 or 2-6, regardless.
If he would have lost that fight,
yeah,
right? But
he
if
was
we take
gonna
it,
lose that.
let's just ignore it though. 2-5. At that point, Brad Tavares is 4-4 in his last 8. So it's like it's better, but is it that much better? Like it's not that big of a difference.
Brad
right?
Tavares it wasn't long ago where he was beating Duplessis for a half a fight.
Right, but then at that point, it wasn't that long. Everyone beats Dricus Duplessis for a little, unless you're good in Robert Whittaker, I guess.
Yeah.
Then you don't, and you just get knocked out, and
you just
make
get
this guy really mad.
Oh man, so upset
And sad.
It's so upsetting.
But anyways, Brad Tavares 4-4 in his last 8. Who knows? I don't love the line being absolutely massive here.
Is it really?
It's like minus 300 or some shit.
Dude, I'm so tempted to pick Chris Weidman outright, to be honest.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't love the line being huge. The official pick is Brad Tavares.
By the way, he said the first thing he's going to do is come out and throw a leg kick, yeah.
That'd be fire. The official pick is Brad Tavares. I just think Weidman is going to be like tentative.
I may switch on this one. I may switch on this.
Go for it. My heart is with Chris Weidman. And if I'm betting on Chris Weidman. But I'm absolutely really rooting for him. And I would love nothing more than for him to win. And I like Brad Tavares.
I like Brad Tavares too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I keep going back and forth in my mind. Like, there is a world, I think, even now where Chris Weidman is just so naturally good at wrestling. He gets Brad Tavares down, and it's a boring fight, but he just gets him down and just keeps him there and wins, 2 rounds that way.
Yeah.
Every fight starts on the feet, though. So, Chris Weidman, never the epitome of speed. How fast is he going to be now at 40 years old? Is he going to be apprehensive? All things we'll wait to see. But obviously, very interesting fight. Just a crazy one. I can't believe he's coming back, honestly.
He's back.
That is a shorter time span than Conor already, by the way. Just for the record.
In theory, right? Because his injury happened, 3 months before Conor's?
Yeah.
So unless we get Conor in, November, which we're not.
We are not.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So, anyway, moving on to the next fight. And this is for the rest of the fights now, they're all really interesting. It's Marlon Chito Vera versus Pedro Munhoz, and man, this is a really interesting one. Like when I initially saw this fight was made, I'm like, oh, this is a clear step down. Pedro Munhoz, obviously really good Muay Thai.
Yeah.
There was a time, man, where I think he could have qualified as my boy. Like I really like Pedro Munhoz. I really like his style. Super aggressive. He's got a lot of power. He's got legit power, even though he's like 5'5", and I think he has a 65-inch reach. So Chito Vera is gonna have like a 5-inch reach advantage here. For me, what's interesting too is we have seen Chito, to his own detriment, be a very slow starting fighter at times.
Every fight.
Every single fight. So, if he comes out like that versus Pedro Munhoz, this is only it's a 3-rounder.
Yeah.
So. And Pedro Munhoz,
yeah.
If you get dropped, like Pedro Munhoz is going to put it on him. He's going to come in. Pedro Munhoz, even though he's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage, he's had a reach disadvantage his whole career.
Every fight.
So, he is very skilled and has legit power. He knows how to get in there. So, for me, that's the biggest thing for Vera here is I don't think he has the liberty to take it really slow here with Pedro Munhoz. Mm-hmm. I see a world where Pedro Munhoz wins this. I just can't go that route. I still believe that Marlon Vera at this stage of their careers is the better fighter.
Yeah.
He's longer, he's rangier. He is a guy that I've said this before about him. He's just so violent. He comes out and really seeks to do damage. I also do think that after the Sandhagen fight that I hope he does. He certainly seemed like somebody who was on a championship trajectory.
Yes, he did.
And he seemed like somebody who genuinely was going for it. So I am really hoping and I'm believing that after the Sandhagen fight, how he started slow and was just kind of dismantled, picked apart for 5 rounds.
Right.
I'm hoping and I'm believing that that's going to light a fire under his ass and that I mean, listen, if me and you are sitting here talking about it, him and his coaches know it.
They know.
So I think Marlon Vera rights the ship, and I think he's going to get a finish on Pedro Munhoz. I don't know, man. Actually, I'm going to go by decision, actually. Pedro Munhoz is a tough guy to finish, but I do think Marlon Vera takes it. I'll say 30-27.
Okay. Couple things I want to point out. First and foremost, Chito Vera is here to be the backup. He's the backup for the title fight.
Right.
That's not being talked about.
Yeah.
Nobody's mentioning it. The UFC hasn't announced it, but I guarantee you that if it's not announced by Friday, we're going to see Chito Vera stepping on the scale at 135 even, making championship weight. That's what he's here for. Now, Pedro Munhoz, I think, is the better fighter than Marlon Vera. Like, skill for skill, technique for technique, I think he's better. Yes, he's older. But Chito Vera, as you said, like, he starts really slow. He's oftentimes losing fights.
Most of the time.
Until he's not. And you think about every fight, right? Frankie Edgar, he was losing that fight.
Pretty clearly, yeah.
Dominic Cruz was like back and forward-ish, but probably losing the fight. I'm struggling to think of the other ones, but the Sandhagen fight, he didn't make any adjustments, right? The Rob Font fight was brutal. He was getting his ass beat, essentially, like not taking too much damage, but getting super outpointed every single round until he would find the shot. I don't like saying this about fighters, but I think Chito Vera is a very lucky fighter. It's not his fault. Like, if you make something happen, I guess it's not lucky. But you know what I'm saying? There's so many fights in that 4-fight winning streak, he could have lost 3 of those fights.
He could have.
And probably
was on the way to, yeah.
On other days, like if it was another day, 80% of the time, he probably loses all 3 of those fights. I digress. The thing is, Pedro Munhoz is a little old right now. He's a little slower than he used to be. He's a little older than he used to be. There is a world where he can win this.
He absolutely can.
Yeah. My thing is, like you said, if he goes out there and he just wins that first round, Chito better make an adjustment because you could lose this fight on points.
Yep.
I think if it's close,
Pedro can catch you. You could be winning the second. Pedro catches you.
Yeah.
And now you're down 2 rounds.
The only thing that worries me is that these other guys presented a little bit of a challenge for Chito. They were like weird moving guys, right? Not Frankie Edgar necessarily, but Dominic Cruz, weird movement. Rob Font, really good movement.
None of these guys have the power. Throw with the power that Pedro Munhoz does too. By the way,
that's fair, but he's kind of like a traditional, orthodox, like very just like straightforward striker.
Yes,
and I think that kind of plays into Chito's hands. Regardless, I don't like the odds, but Chito by KO to me seems like the right thing here. I wouldn't be shocked or very upset, honestly, if Pedro Munhoz won this fight.
I like Pedro Munhoz, man. I would like to see it, but
I think it would give us some clarity in the division.
Yep,
it would kind of get somebody out of the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then that's interesting because the O'Malley and Munhoz were fighting, and that fight was.
And he was beating Sean O'Malley.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. He was winning that fight.
He was winning that fight.
So, it is what it is, bro. It's weird.
It's interesting. And another interesting fight. It's the third to last fight of the night. It was supposed to be Jeff Neal versus Ian Machado Garry. Now it's, of course, Neil Magny versus Ian Machado Garry. We talk about Neil Magny every other week on this show. What do you think about this one?
I just want to say, first and foremost, about Ian Garry. He gets a little bit of a bad rap. Like, the whole, like, Irish Takeover 2.0 thing. And then, like, people are like, oh, he wants to be like Conor. Then he gets the knockout and he does the little Billy strut. And it's like, all right, he's cringy, dude. Like, he is cringy.
He is cringe.
But he's good. He's a good fighter.
He's damn good.
He's 25 years old. Like, he's younger than a lot of people think he is.
Yeah.
And for 25 years old, he's fucking pretty good at fighting.
He's very good. And he's the type of guy to change his name.
There it is. I knew you were going there.
So,
because we've talked about him like 40 times already. Yeah, and anyways, he's well-rounded. He's a good striker, decent power. That's fine. He's hittable. The chin might be a bit suspicious.
Is it?
It's weird that we're saying that about a guy that's undefeated, but we've seen him get rocked a good amount of times.
He's been rocked.
He gets brawly. And that might be the whole, like, young, dumb, and full of cum thing. But, or maybe not so much. He's got Mrs. Machado with him.
Right.
Who knows what's going on in that bedroom. But anyways, he's taking on Neil Magny. Neil Magny, we know who he is. He's a vet. He's the, what's it called? The gatekeeper of the division, essentially. He's long-bodied. He has good experience. He's been struggling as of late with the grapplers. Ian Garry, not so much of a grappler. Definitely going to be a stand-up fight. I have to go with Ian Garry here, but this is his toughest test to date. The toughest opponent he's seen so far. I like Ian Garry's resilience. I always knew he was the real or the realer prospect between him and Paddy.
No
they were being
question.
very compared at Cage Warriors when they were both champs and whatnot. I think Garry at some point, Dino, real soon, because they're pushing him pretty fast now, he's going to hit a ceiling.
I think to be honest, I think they took the perfect route with him.
Fair.
Like he got perfect step ups.
I'm okay.
Every time.
I'm okay with that, but I think, let's say he beats Neil Magny, which I'm assuming you're picking him to beat Neil Magny, not Neil Nagny.
Neil Nagny.
Neil Nagny, new mythical fighter. But I think he's going to beat Neil Magny. And then what's the next fight? At that point, you're fighting some top 5 guy with grappling. He's not going to fight Gilbert Burns. That's like one of his best friends and training partners. But like they're all grapplers.
Yeah.
Like I don't like his chances against Shavkat. I don't like
my God.
Bilal in him is interesting, but I think like Bilal probably takes it by wrestle fudging him.
Probably does.
Usman beats him by wrestling him. And again, he's 25. I'm
Yeah.
not saying by the time he's 29 he can't beat these people. But as of right now, you don't fare so well against the grapplers in this division, I think.
You're right. They have been easy on him as far as offering him
Matchups.
true grappling
Correct.
credentialed matchups. You know.
Correct. So
But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going Ian Garry. Two long, rangy strikers. I just think at this point, Ian Garry, I mean, he's so much younger. He's faster. He's got the power advantage, in my opinion, too. So, and he's also, realistically, to me, he's a better technical striker, too. So, for me, if it stays on the feet, and it will, this is a pretty straightforward one. Like you said, it is absolutely a tough test. I would have much rather liked to see him take on Jeff Neal. I think that would have been a really tough test. And I may have picked Jeff Neal in that one. I don't know. Maybe I still would have gone Garry, but it would have been real close.
how do you feel about the odds, Dino?
What are the odds on this one? It
Minus-
was minus 440, right?
Minus 440.
That's insane. That is insane to me. I would say like minus 200.
Yeah.
Like a 2-1 favorite, fine.
Yeah.
But more than that is kind of crazy, man. I don't think there's much value in that. I don't like that. That being said, I probably will still bet it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't like that. Those are. What do you think? Those are crazy odds.
Yeah, they're wild.
Moving on to the
Two and a half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2.5 even is like
Yeah.
aggressive.
Feels a lot.
But you're right. Neil Magny hasn't looked amazing lately either. So something to be said about that. Moving on to the co-main event of the evening, it's Weili Zhang versus Amanda Lemos, and this is a great fight, man. I mean,
Absolute my girl, your girl, our girl, Zhang Weili, I think, right?
yes.
I used to hate her, but then like she grew on me,
How
and
can
now
you
I
hate her?
really like her.
Yeah, she's just so sweet.
She just seemed like the villain to Thug Rose.
Well,
that's what it was.
Because she was racist.
Well,
Thug
yeah,
Rose
no,
was saying some
fine.
racist shit. Like,
And Thug Rose is like kind of fallen off for me, like
I
for a
mean-
lot of people, I assume, as a fighter and as like a person.
yeah.
But regardless, to me, that was always like, oh, it's like, bro, it was like an '80s movie. There comes this little American girl, and here's like this mean Chinese girl, and it's just.
I know, that's what I'm picturing
Right.
in my head when you said it.
But it's like, I don't know. She's really grown on me. I love Weili.
I love her too, and I think pound for pound, right now, she is the best women's fighter in the sport.
That's John Jones. He's a great women's fighter. No.
Oh,
Should
no.
not go.
But, yeah, I think she is, man. I really do. Amanda Lemos is tough as hell. On the feet, you know, it's going to be a battle for sure. Amanda Lemos has a lot of power. I think she probably does have the power advantage, though Weili has good power, too.
Yeah.
Weili is good everywhere. I just think on the ground, nobody scrambles better than Weili. And I know Amanda Lemos is really good on the ground, too. I think Weili is definitely better than her on the ground, in the wrestling in particular. Some of the escapes, and even with Esparza, who's a good grappler, I guess on paper, but some of the escapes and and sweeps that she had in that fight,
Y'all's
as long as it lasted,
Y'all's girl, Carlos.
yeah, y'all's literally a y'all's girl. Yeah, just she's incredible, man. You know, Amanda Lemos obviously does have a lot of power. Weili, we have seen her knocked out, we have seen her stumbled, but we've also seen her go through absolute wars with Joanna, and just she's been at the top for a long time now, man. I do believe that she's gonna win this fight. I think it'll be probably by decision. You know, Lemos is pretty tough, and she can definitely hold her own on the ground. She's really good on the ground. and in the striking. I just think she's never gonna. Weili has been in so many 5-rounders at this point. This is nothing to her. So I gotta go with Weili on this one.
Yeah, I'm 1,000% going with Weili. As far as method is concerned, I think she's gonna get a finish pretty late in this fight.
I can see that too.
Yeah, look, Amanda Lemos, Dino, she's very good. She might be the second best strawweight in the world. It's arguable. And she's big, man.
She's big.
She is a big girl.
Be bigger.
They're both listed at 5'4", and I don't buy that for a second.
Yeah, I saw that earlier today too. 5'4".
Even more than the 5'4" thing, she is like a really, really thick girl when she's out of camp, or even in camp when she's not weight cutting, and she still looks big in the octagon usually.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a size discrepancy. I just think Weili is just that much better, dude. That much better than the rest of the field, right?
100%.
So at this point, I think you could put any girl at 115. I'm taking Weili over the field. You're taking screenshots over there. I don't know.
I didn't realize my sound was on.
But yeah, I'm taking Weili over the rest of the field for a while until something happens.
She's one of those.
Yeah.
She's Valentina level,
Yeah.
Nunes level.
I do think so.
Dominance, yeah.
So 2 losses in the UFC. Those were the back-to-back ones to Rose, the flash knockout, and then, of course, the decision that was pretty sus. And I think she won that fight. I thought she won the fight, too.
I
think she won the second Rose Namajunas fight. So besides that, her only other loss in her career was her first fight, her first MMA fight. She lost to a lady named Bo Meng. So, good name. I'm taking Weili. I think she gets the finish in, like, the 4th round. Shit's going to get sloppy at that point. She's just technically better than Amanda Lemos. I think she's better on the ground. I think she's better on the feet. I think she's more threatening. Zhang Weili. Magnum Zhang Weili. And still.
Let's get it.
And still.
I can't wait. And, of course, now we've got the main event of the evening. It is Aljamain Sterling putting his bantamweight strap up for grabs versus Sean O'Malley. What do you think about this one, Dino Bam Bam Butcher?
All right, couple things we got to talk about here. First and foremost, we have Sean O'Malley, the challenger. He's coming into this at 16-1, Dino. His only loss being the Cheeto Vera fight, which he got dead leg, the perennial nerve or whatever they call it. Allegedly, his foot got hurt. He's had foot problems. We've seen that happen to him. So, anyways, that's his only loss. Sean O'Malley does not like to admit that he lost that fight. Mm-hmm. He constantly says he's undefeated. And look, man, I think Sean O'Malley, it's obvious what it is. It's striker versus grappler here. Sean O'Malley has the striking advantage. He has the length advantage. He has the power advantage. Aljamain Sterling has the grappling advantage. We know he's the human backpack and all that. And there's...
If we had better production quality...
Yeah.
I would play the Dora backpack.
Ooh, okay. We'd have a little thing with Aljo, in that style. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
So just picture that.
Yeah. Oh, man, shouldn't that get us more subscribers?
It could have.
Thought process. Anyways, Sean O'Malley got an easy road here. Let's not mince words. That's what happened. And then people are going to say he beat Peter Yan. Fine.
And we all just forget the Munhoz fight, too.
Right.
Like, nobody ever talks about the Munhoz fight. Ever, yeah.
So, we're going to say, like, all right, he beat Peter Yan. Did he, though? The Aljo, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
The Aljo haters.
It was much closer than I ever thought it would be.
The Aljo haters and the Sean O'Malley stands are going to say Sean O'Malley won that fight.
Yeah.
I'm under the impression that that fight could go either way.
It could have.
But then removing myself from the time.
He took Peter Yan's soul, by the way.
We watched that fight back, right?
Yeah.
And Peter Yan won that fight. And the majority
it was close, though.
Right, it was very close. I'm not taking anything away from Sean O'Malley. That raised his stock. We showed he could hang with the best in the division. We showed he's not afraid of getting hurt. He's not a quitter. He's not a bitch person. You know what I mean? Like, he went in there and fought Peter Yan for 3 rounds. He started gassing a little bit, though, and I think the one knee that cut up Peter Yan really made it look like worse than it is.
It did.
Anyways, so before the Peter Yan fight, the Pedro Munhoz fight, where he was losing, the eye poke thing happened. Pedro Munhoz probably quit. He was probably like, I should quit while I'm ahead, and he thinking like, people are going to be like, damn, like you were beating up Sean O'Malley.
Yeah.
That's not how it happened. But before that, Howley and Paiva, we were at the Chris Moutinho fight. Mm-hmm. Thomas Tomatoes Alfredo, remember he was calling him Tomatoes Alfredo. He beat like a 75-year-old Eddie Wineland. Mm-hmm. These guys are not in the UFC anymore.
Look at Garry's ascension compared to O'Malley's, which is it's just interesting to mirror it.
Dino, these guys are no longer in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
That's been Sean O'Malley's method of getting here.
But we're here.
But we're here.
But we're finally here. Sean O'Malley, when he came on the scene a few years ago, it was like, who the hell is this guy? This guy's interesting.
And everyone on the Contender Series was like, there's this guy, Snoop Dogg shouting him out. And, like, they're pushing Sean O'Malley. They want him to be the next star. There's a reason this fight they made Aljo take this fight on 2 months' notice. Mm-hmm. The UFC hates Aljamain Sterling because the fans don't resonate with him. Or he doesn't resonate with the fans.
It's so weird. I wonder why.
It's because of the acting thing, right? He's an Oscar winner and all this bullshit. Sean O'Malley, everyone wants Sean O'Malley to win. I was watching fighters predict this fight, 28-2 for Aljamain Sterling.
Who were the two that picked?
It was Cameron Simon.
Picked O'Malley.
And I forgot who the other one was, but it was somebody annoying. It was just like an annoying person.
Carla Esparza.
Probably not, but she is annoying. Anyways, I'm going Aljamain Sterling, dude. You know it. Absolute my boy, the human backpack.
It's a your boy versus an our boy.
Yeah, I love Sean O'Malley. I don't think I don't. But look, I think he's too good in the grappling. He's good enough in the striking. He's fought better people than Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley, I don't think he's ready yet. The ascension was too quick. I will say this, though, Dino. I have this weird theory that whenever there's a long reigning champion, they always lose the fight. Like, it sounds stupid when you say it like this because, of course, they lose the fight they lose. But they lose the fight that's like the last one. It's the last one. And what I mean by that is that there's nothing left for them to do in the division. Mm-hmm. Like it happened with Kamaru Usman. Had he beat Leon Edwards, there was nothing left for Kamaru Usman to do. Mm-hmm. It happens with all these guys. So I'm really worried that it's the last one for Aljamain Sterling because there's nothing left for him to do. He's beat Sandhagen. I guess Cheeto Vera makes sense. Maybe.
I guess, yeah.
Or he said he's going to leave and give the belt up and go try to fight Volk and let Merab get his chance. Aljamain Sterling and still for me.
Yeah, no, Sean O'Malley's going to knock him out. I'm going Sean O'Malley by flash KO. Straight up. Out
shot.
Cold. Yeah, out cold. He's going to catch him.
Yeah.
And I think Aljamain is going to be shook by the power of Sean O'Malley. Okay. I also think Sean O'Malley is very, very tough to take down. And I know Aljo doesn't need to take you down. He can just take your back. But I think Sean O'Malley's hard to take down, hard to keep down.
Harder than Henry Cejudo, the Olympic gold medalist, to take down and keep down.
I think it's different because Sean O'Malley is a much different build. Right? He's got like 3-4 inches of height on Aljo. Yeah. He's got some reach on him. He's longer. I think it's going to be a problem for Aljo. Every fight starts on the feet. I see a first round where obviously it starts on the feet. He feels O'Malley's power a little bit. It's like, oh shit, like this guy's got some legit power. Gets it to the ground by the end of the round. Maybe ends up winning a close first round. Maybe ends up winning that first round with the grappling exchanges. Maybe threatens a sub, but has a harder time keeping Sean O'Malley down than you would think. Don't forget Sean O'Malley. In a grappling tournament, just beat Takanori Gomi not too long ago.
Pretty long ago,
but even better. He's been training since. He knows what Aljo wants to do. For me, the striking advantage is going to be noticeable. And I'm going to say an early second round flash KO. Just catching Aljo a little cold in the second round and just dropping him and new.
If Sean O'Malley wins this fight, there's two ways he's going to win it. He's going to win by a quick knockout, or it's going to be a close decision fight, and they're going to give it to Sean O'Malley. Yeah, because they're not giving Aljo a close decision this time.
Shockingly, when I saw this, I'm like, this is not going to the decision. After thinking on it, I could absolutely see a decently close fight where it goes to decision.
I don't buy it only because in his last fight, we saw Sean O'Malley gassing in that third round with Peter Yan.
Yeah, we did.
And the Aljo fight, if it gets to that point, Aljo's going to be wrestling you way more than Peter Yan was.
No question.
And that's the kind of shit that's going to tire you out more than... you're going to get more tired
if it goes longer, I'm leaning Aljo. Yeah, I just think Sean O'Malley is going to find a shot. He's also wildly accurate.
He's very good accuracy, very good power.
He's unbelievably accurate. Maybe the most accurate with the strikes that need.
If Sean O'Malley wins this fight, he's probably going to win this fight looking like he should have won this fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be like, oh, we're all stupid to not think Sean O'Malley was going to knock his ass out. I don't think so. I think Aljo is way better than the rest of the community than the rest of
I agree.
fans give him credit for.
I agree, man. He's incredible.
And I think he survives. Anyways, we disagree. We're already on a losing streak, I guess, from last week. RDA.
Yeah.
Thanks for that dud of a fight.
That was fucking terrible. Terrible fight overall.
One of us is going to be on a winning streak, I guess, here on these main events.
One of us will get back on track.
One of us is back on track.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm going and still. You're going and still and new.
Yep.
To end the fight. Quick thought on what does that do for the UFC? Is Sean O'Malley a star at that point? Like a bigger star than he is? Is he a superstar?
He's an absolute superstar. He's already a huge star. He's a bigger draw than most champions already, I would say.
Okay.
Or, a lot of the champions. Absolutely. It would be massive for the UFC. You know they're going to get all behind it.
Of course.
He's going to come out with his own weed brand, tequila, something. I mean, this is how you get uber rich in the UFC. Right?
Is this wishful thinking for you?
Is it
Do you think the
wishful
UFC needs it?
I don't think they need it.
Yeah.
We've seen that the UFC doesn't need anything, really. At the end of the day, like Dana's going to make some shit up. Dana will smoke and mirror something up.
Yeah.
Tafan Nchukwi, first Cameroonian fighter in UFC history last week. Just shit like that,
Yeah.
So Dana has a lot of control. Obviously, it would be huge for the UFC, especially like you said, for whatever reason, Aljo, whether that's the acting or whatever, not the most loved champion by any means. People really don't like him. Sean O'Malley, you either love him or you hate him, but you're going to talk about him,
Facts.
So it's going to be huge for the UFC, regardless, whether you love him or hate him.
And after this, we are recording an Aljamain Sterling video that we're going to be putting out and a Sean O'Malley video that we're going to be putting out.
Yep.
But we delve into the whole acting thing with Aljo. I'm going to link it for you guys. Those videos should be out before this one. While you're checking that out, you can subscribe. You can click the little thumb. You can ring the little bell. That's going to let you know when our shit drops. I got it right this time. You can also follow us on Instagram at the107MMA. Same way as it's spelled on our channel. DS, any last thoughts?
Nah.
He's going and still and new. I'm Dino Bam Bam and still. Peace.